Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India Newshour, India's voice to the world. I'm Abhishek Mahajan. Coming up in the next hour. US President Donald Trump meets Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu in Florida. Trump asks Hamas to disarm, says Hamas will have hell to pay if it fails to disarm. Russian President Vladimir Putin's residence targeted in alleged drone attack. Kremlin blames Ukraine. Zelensky denies claim. 2 killed as US strikes an alleged narco vessel in international waters in the eastern Pacific Ocean. Bangladesh's first woman Prime Minister Khaleda Zia passes away at the age of 80 after prolonged illness. Prime Minister Narendra Modi expresses grief. US President Donald Trump warned Iran of fresh strikes and said Hamas would have hell to pay if it fails to disarm in Gaza, as he presented a united front with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu on Monday. Speaking at a news conference with Netanyahu in Florida, Trump warned to eradicate any attempt by Tehran to rebuild its nuclear program or ballistic missile arsenal following US and Israeli strikes earlier this year. Trump also downplayed reports of tensions with Netanyahu over the second stage of Gaza ceasefire, saying that Israel had lived up to its commitments and that the onus was on Hamas. Meanwhile, Hamas's armed wing reiterated earlier on Monday that it would not surrender its weapons.
Well, we talked about Hamas and we talked about disarmament, and they're going to be given a very short period of time to disarm. And we'll see how that works out. Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner will be in charge of that from our side. But if they don't disarm, as they agreed to do, they agreed to it, and then there'll be hell to pay for them. And we don't want that. We're not looking for that. But they have to disarm within a fairly short period of time.
Netanyahu said it had been a very productive meeting and announced that Israel was awarding Trump its highest civilian honor, the first time it has gone to a non-Israeli citizen. Netanyahu also appeared to have steered Trump towards focusing on Israel's concerns about Iran.
Well, President Trump has broken so many conventions to the surprise of people, and then they figure out, oh, well, maybe, he was right after all. So we decided to break a convention too, or create a new one, and that is to award the Israel Prize, which in almost our 80 years, we've never awarded it to a non-Israeli. And we're going to award it this year to President Trump. This was announced formally over lunch by our Minister of Education, who's responsible for the Israel Prize. It's going to be awarded to President Donald J. Trump for his tremendous contributions to Israel and the Jewish people.
Now, Russia has accused Kiev of firing drones at Vladimir Putin's residence between Moscow and St. Petersburg, announcing it would revise its negotiating position on ending the conflict. In an audio statement, Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov said Ukraine fired 91 drones at Putin's official residence in the Novgorod region overnight, adding that all of them were destroyed by air defenses. US President Donald Trump said on Monday that Russian President Vladimir Putin told him a swarm of Ukrainian drones had allegedly targeted one of his residences. However, Kiev denied the claim. Speaking to reporters ahead of a meeting with Netanyahu, Trump said the Russian leader raised the issue during a call earlier in the day.
I heard about it this morning. You know who told me about it? President Putin told me about it. Early in the morning, he said he was attacked. It's no good. It's no good. Don't forget, the Tomahawks. I stopped the Tomahawks. I didn't want that. Because we're talking about, it's a delicate period of time. This is not the right time. It's one thing to be offensive, because they were offensive. It's another thing to attack his house. It's not the right time to do any of that. And can't do it. And I learned about it from President Putin today. I was very angry about it.
The U.S. military on Monday carried out a strike on a boat suspected of drug trafficking in international waters in the eastern Pacific Ocean. U.S. Southern Command said the Joint Task Force Southern Spear conducted a lethal kinetic strike on the vessel, killing 2 men. The military also said that no U.S. personnel were injured during the operation. Since September, the U.S. military has carried out at least 30 strikes on what it says are boats used to smuggle drugs to the United States, with the majority of the attacks occurring in the eastern Pacific and some in the Caribbean Sea. All right, DD India's Akhilesh Suman has more information on this. He's joining us live from Delhi. Hi, Akhilesh. The U.S. military has confirmed a strike on a suspected drug smuggling boat in the international waters, and the military says it was a lethal kinetic strike. Can you walk us through what exactly happened?
Actually, President Donald Trump also accepted in reply to reporters' question yesterday at Mar-a-Lago that U.S. has struck on the source of, some of the boats which are used for, transporting drugs from one place to another. And I think that this was enough hint that it was done by USA Special Forces, because he didn't name Army, he didn't name CIA, but he named that he said that yes, a strike has taken place. So I think it is a continuous hint to Maduro in Venezuela that US will keep coming close to Venezuela land. Till now, US was striking boats and ships in the international waters, and Maduro has declared that it is a criminal act passed by his parliament. Now US is coming close to the land area, and it is actually an attack on the land. So I think it is becoming more serious than earlier, because once you approach the land, that means that you will keep approaching the land for further purposes. And unless Maduro, I think, comes to terms with what Donald Trump is telling, it is going to increase. Because what I am getting from my American sources in Delhi, they are telling that it is a hint for Maduro to leave. From Venezuela, to leave the post and vacate the country for further election. So this is the real intention behind all these attacks, one after another, and drugs are being taken. Though Maduro has been telling that there is no drug peddling from these boats that you are telling. Venezuela also keeps close watch on any drug trafficking that is taking place from a regime. So in that way, I think it is a major strike. And it is red herring for Maduro that what he will do next. Reporters also asked that whether you have talked to Maduro recently or not. Trump said that yes, we have talked to Maduro, but there is nothing pleasant about it. So I think I think about a fortnight or earlier, Donald Trump has said that we will give escape for Maduro if he wants to leave Venezuela. So if he gives safe escape for Maduro, but Maduro was not ready for that. So I think this is coming close that both countries will go into land conflict also. Till now it is the air conflict. Yeah. It was taking place in the sea. But this happening has hinted that US intends to go to the land area of Venezuela also.
Okay, yeah. Akhilesh, also, I mean, the strike took place in the eastern Pacific Ocean. Why do you think, why is this region emerging as a major corridor for drug trafficking?
There is no confirmed thing that which is the major corridor or which is the lesser corridor. Americans are saying, but it is being rejected by Venezuelan officials and even Maduro. So it depends on how the US plays it further, because it is one of the ways of war that you can create a narrative and then you can strike. You can say that yes, this is the major way for transshipment of drugs in the area, going inside the USA. But finally, some sort of negotiations should have taken place between Venezuela and USA on this thing. If really US and Trump thinks that this is the way of drug trafficking from this area to that area, but such negotiations have not taken place. Such meetings have not taken place. So I think it is a clear-cut hint that just America wants that Maduro should go, and it should he should vacate place for any other leader who was fighting against him. You have recently seen that one opposition leader was even given Nobel Prize. So I think West is also putting, their weight against Maduro, and they also want that, there should be democratic election further, and Maduro should leave. So I think the whole thing is going on in that direction. Drug might be just an issue to make pressure on Maduro in that.
Yeah, get your point. All right, Akhilesh, we'll leave it at that. Thank you for your inputs. Moving on, tensions resurfaced between Thailand and Cambodia on Monday after Bangkok accused Cambodia of violating a ceasefire with drone incursions along the border. Cambodia has downplayed the allegation, calling it a minor issue, even as regional powers push for restraint and dialogue.
Thailand on Monday accused Cambodia of violating a newly signed ceasefire by flying more than 250 drones across the border. The Thai army says the alleged drone activity occurred just days after both sides agreed to halt deadly clashes. The fresh accusation has raised doubts over the durability of the truce. The Thai army said on Monday more than 250 unmanned aerial vehicles were detected flying from the Cambodian side, intruding into Thailand's sovereign territory on Sunday night. It said such actions constitute provocation and a violation of measures aimed at reducing tensions, agreed during Saturday's bilateral meeting. However, Cambodian Foreign Minister downplayed the incident, calling it a small issue related to flying drones seen by both sides along the borderline. He said both countries had discussed the matter and agreed to investigate and resolve it immediately. The conflict flared again after July clashes that killed dozens and displaced over 1 million people. Earlier, truces brokered by the United States, China, and ASEAN chair Malaysia have repeatedly collapsed. China has again urged both sides to rebuild trust and stabilize the region. Despite renewed ceasefire commitments, tensions remain high along the disputed border. Thailand has warned it may reconsider releasing captured Cambodian soldiers. Nancy Baloda's report for DD India.
And tensions between China and Taiwan escalate further as China kicked off a second day of live-fire drills around Taiwan on Tuesday, aimed at simulating a blockade of the self-ruled island's key ports. China claims Taiwan as part of its sovereign territory and has refused to rule out using military action to seize the island democracy. The latest show of force follows a bumper round of arms sales to Taipei by the United States, Taiwan's main security backer, and comments from Japan's Prime Minister that the use of force against Taiwan could warrant a military response from Tokyo. Beijing warned on Monday that external forces arming Taipei would push the Taiwan Strait into a perilous situation of imminent war, but did not mention any countries by name. China said early on Monday it was conducting live-fire training on maritime targets to the north and southwest of Taiwan in large-scale exercises involving destroyers, frigates, fighters, bombers and drones. And China called the drills around Taiwan as Justice Mission 2025 as a warning against independence and foreign interference. Also, China said it would never hesitate to combat separatism. Now, in brief, let us understand the history and independence of the island nation. So, what is Taiwan's history and formal name today? Previously known as Formosa, the island has been home to indigenous people for thousands of years before the Dutch and Spanish briefly ruled parts of it in 1600s. The Qing dynasty incorporated Taiwan as part of Fujian province in 1684 and only declared it a separate Chinese province in 1885. 1895, I should say. Following the king's defeat in a war with Japan, it became a Japanese colony in 1895. In 1945, it was handed over to the Republic of China government at the end of World War II. In 1949, after being defeated by Mao Zedong's communist forces, the Republic of China government fled and moved its capital to Taiwan, and Republic of China remains the island's formal name. Now, what is Taiwan's international status? For decades, the Republic of China in Taipei also claimed to be the legitimate Chinese government, but in 1971, Beijing took over the China seat at the United Nations from Taipei. Currently, only 12 countries maintain formal ties with Taipei, mostly small and poorer developing nations such as Belize and Tuvalu. Most major Western countries and US allies maintain close unofficial ties with Taiwan by recognizing the Republic of China passport and having de facto embassies in each other's capitals. The US severed official ties with Taipei in 1979, but is bound by law to provide the island with the means to defend itself. The US officially takes no position on Taiwan's sovereignty under Washington's One China policy. China also says that United Nations Resolution 2758 passed in 1971 means the world legally recognizes Taiwan belongs to China and is Taiwan an independent country. Taiwan, whose people elect their own leaders and whose government controls a defined area of territory with its own military, passport and currency, enjoys de facto independence even if that is not formally recognized by most countries. Beijing has no right to speak for or represent it. And what is Taiwan's history? We are talking about this. Previously known as Formosa, the island has been home to indigenous people. All right, still to come on this edition of DD India Newshour. Saudi-led coalition orders immediate evacuation ahead of military operation in Yemen. US President Donald Trump wants to bring a lawsuit against Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell. And Iraq's newly elected parliament convenes its first session following the November national election.
Geopolitics and trade deals. Economic challenges amid development. Hard work and the path to prosperity. It's the economy always. Between walkers, money is what money does and says. Supply creates its own demand. Between the bulls pulls and bears tears. When supply chains globalization and India rises to the podium. We'll get you centered with the economic brief at 8 p.m. every Thursday on DD India.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Abhishek Mahajan. Some more stories. Former Prime Minister and Bangladesh Nationalist Party chairperson Khaleda Zia passed away early on Tuesday while undergoing treatment at Evercare Hospital in Dhaka. She was 80. The party's media cell said Khaleda Zia died while receiving medical care at the private hospital where she had been admitted due to serious health complications. Khaleda Zia, a two-time Prime Minister, was one of the most prominent figures in Bangladesh's politics for decades and served as BNP chairperson for many years. And remembering former Prime Minister of Bangladesh, Khaleda Zia, Prime Minister Modi shared pictures on X. He wrote, and I quote him here, "Deeply saddened to learn about the passing away of former Prime Minister and BNP chairperson Begum Khaleda Zia in Dhaka. Our sincerest condolences to her family and all the people of Bangladesh. May the Almighty grant her family the fortitude to bear this tragic loss. As the first woman Prime Minister of Bangladesh, her important contributions towards the development of Bangladesh as well as India-Bangladesh relations will always be remembered. I recall my warm meeting with her in Dhaka in 2015. We hope that her vision and legacy will continue to guide our partnership. May her soul rest in peace." All right, DD India's Naval Singh Parmar joins us on the phone line from Dhaka for more. Naval Singh, Khaleda Zia was widely seen as a key figure ahead of the next elections in February next year. How does her death alter the political landscape in Bangladesh now?
Well, there are two major political parties. One is Awami League and the second one is BNP. And BNP is running for the national election in the atmosphere where the Awami League is banned. So it is considered as a front runner, and the time the Begum Khaleda Zia died, it's very crucial for the BNP, as this party was out of power since 1.5 decades, and there are fair chances that BNP may get electoral victory in upcoming election. She was quite ill since many years, and since in last 2-3 months she was unwell, critically ill, and some days back it was declared very critically ill. Meantime, his son Tariq Rahman, who was in exile since for 17 years, returned back to Dhaka on 25th December. So this tragic demise of Begum Khaleda Zia will have a moral loss to the BNP party, and at the same time, its timing is very crucial. She is considered one of the stalwart leader in Bangladesh politics.
Nawalsang, also, given her long and often turbulent political career, how is she being remembered by supporters and critics alike?
She was Prime Minister of Bangladesh for 2 terms, 1991 to 1996 and 2001 to 2006. She is considered as one of the tallest leader in Bangladesh politics, very strong, and at the same time she navigate her party in turbulent times for 3.5 decades. So she is one of the prominent leaders, considered as one of the prominent leader in Bangladesh politics.
All right, Nawalsang, we'll leave it at that. Thank you for your inputs. Bangladesh's High Commissioner to India, Riaz Hamidullah, reached Dhaka on Monday night after being urgently summoned by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs amid recent developments in Bangladesh-India relations. Leading Delhi, citing diplomatic sources, reported that the High Commissioner was recalled from New Delhi for consultations on the current state of bilateral ties and travelled back shortly after receiving the message. Now, the Saudi-led coalition in Yemen said on Tuesday it has called on civilians in the Yemeni port of Mukalla in Hadramaut province to evacuate until further notice ahead of a military operation, the Saudi state news agency reported. The coalition had said on Saturday it would counter any military moves by the separatist STC group in Hadramaut to protect civilians. In major shift of power in early December, the STC claimed broad control across the south, pushing the government out of Aden and seizing the eastern provinces of Hadramaut and Al-Mahra as Saudi-backed forces pulled back. The head of Yemen's Presidential Leadership Council, Rashid Al-Alimi, had requested the coalition to take immediate measures to protect civilians in Hadramaut from violations committed by armed groups affiliated with the STC. Now, Brazil's imprisoned former President Jair Bolsonaro underwent a medical procedure to treat persistent hiccups for the second time in 3 days. The doctors carried out a phrenic nerve block procedure on Bolsonaro to block his left phrenic nerve following a surgery on Saturday to treat the right one. The surgery at the DF Star Hospital in capital Brasilia lasted for about an hour. The ex-president has faced health problems since a stabbing he suffered in September 2018 during a presidential campaign event in the town of Juiz de Fora. In Minas Gerais state, Bolsonaro was convicted and sentenced to over 27 years in prison by Brazil's Supreme Court in September for plotting a coup to overturn his 2022 election loss. He started to serve his sentence last month. He was authorized by Supreme Court Justice Alexandra de Moraes to leave prison for the hernia surgery. Moving on, U.S. President Donald Trump on Monday wants to bring a lawsuit against Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell for what Trump called gross incompetence related to Powell's management of renovations at the Fed's Washington headquarters. Speaking in Florida, Trump also said he plans to announce his pick for the next chair sometime in January.
We're thinking about bringing a suit against Powell for incompetence. Because think of it, these aren't outstanding buildings, these are small buildings. He said $4 billion more. It's going to end up costing more than $4 billion. $4 billion. It's the highest price of construction. Again, Democrats, highest price of construction per square foot in the history of the world. There's never been. Gorgeous monuments are built for a much smaller price. So we're thinking about bringing a gross incompetence, what's called gross incompetence lawsuit. It's gross incompetence against Powell.
Mr. President, when do you expect an announcement then on Powell's replacement?
January sometime.
Now, Iraq's newly elected parliament convened on Monday for its first session following the November national election, launching a process to form a new government that often takes months. The parliament elected Sunni Muslim lawmaker Haibat al-Halbusi as speaker at its opening session. A parliamentary statement said Halbusi secured 208 out of a total of 283 votes. Under the Iraqi constitution, parliament must elect a speaker and 2 deputies at its opening session, then choose a new president within 30 days. The president will in turn task the largest parliamentary bloc with forming a government. Prime Minister Mohammad Shia al-Sudani's bloc won the most seats in the election. Next government will need to navigate the delicate balance between US and Iranian influence, with dozens of Iran-aligned militia groups complicating the picture. On Sydney's Bondi Beach mass shooting, Australian police concluded there was no evidence that the 2 gunmen were part of a militant cell. They acted alone. About the 2 accused gunmen, Naveed Akram and his father Sajid Akram, police previously said they were inspired by Islamic State, with homemade flags of the militant group found in their car after the attack, and a month-long trip to a Philippines island previously plagued by militancy was a major focus of investigation. But on Tuesday, Australian Federal Police Commissioner said there was no indication the men had received formal training on the November trip to Mindanao in the Philippines. She added the findings were an initial assessment and authorities in Australia and the Philippines were continuing their investigation. Let's now take a look at other stories making news around the world. A group of Peruvian shamans gathered on Monday on a beach in southern Lima to perform their annual New Year ritual, delivering predictions for the year 2026. The ceremony, held every December, combines traditional rituals with symbolic gestures meant to mark the transition to the new year. A Russian family has gained a social media following by cleaning and restoring abandoned graves in a Moscow cemetery. The project showcases before and after transformations of neglected tombs. The family says the initiative is non-commercial and motivated by respect for the deceased. Their work has inspired others in Russia and brought to care not only for the graves of their own loved ones, but also for those of others. Around 15,000 people took to the streets of Edinburgh historic Old Town for a torchlight procession, marking the start of the city's Hogmanay New Year celebrations. The parade was led by a squad of Vikings and a traditional pipe band, lighting up the streets with music and fire. Still to come on this edition of DD India Newshour. DRDO successfully test maiden flight test of the Pinaka long-range guided rocket. India makes new strides in the world of science and technology in 2025. And to boost winter tourism and add vibrancy to the festive season, the Kashmir Tourism Department has organized a winter festival at Srinagar's iconic Dal Lake.
Jharkhand will mesmerize you with majestic nature, rich heritage and colorful culture.
Hello. Johar. It fits perfectly.
Thank you.
Full workout ho gaya.
Ready?
Postcards from Jharkhand on National Geographic.
Welcome back. You're watching Lead India News Hour. I'm Abhishek Mahajan. Recap of our top stories. US President Donald Trump meets Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu in Florida. Trump asks Hamas to disarm, says Hamas will have hell to pay if it fails to disarm. Russian President Vladimir Putin targeted in alleged drone attack. Kremlin blames Ukraine. Zelensky denies claim. Two killed as US strikes an alleged narco vessel in international waters in the eastern Pacific Ocean. And Bangladesh's first woman Prime Minister Khaleda Zia passes away at the age of 80 after prolonged illness. Prime Minister Narendra Modi expresses grief. India on Monday rejected Pakistan's criticism over alleged incidents of violence against minorities on Indian soil, calling Islamabad's statement misleading and an attempt to deflect global scrutiny from its own dismal track record. Responding to media queries, Ministry of External Affairs MEA official spokesperson Randhir Jaiswal dismissed the remarks as politically motivated. He asserted that Pakistan, with its history of persecution and forced displacement of Hindus, Christians, Sikhs, Ahmadiyas and other minority communities, lacks the credibility to lecture others. MEA reaction came after Pakistan's Foreign Office spokesperson on Monday expressed concern over reported acts of vandalism and violence targeting Christians and Muslim communities in India and urged the international community to ensure the protection of vulnerable groups. Shifting focus now, marking a major milestone in India's indigenous rocket artillery program, the Defence Research and Development Organisation on Monday successfully conducted the maiden flight test of Pinaka long-range guided rocket at the Integrated Test Range in Chandipur. The rocket was tested for its maximum range of 120 kilometers, demonstrating all in-flight maneuvers as planned. The LRGR impacted on the target with textbook precision. Defence Minister Rajnath Singh has congratulated DRDO on the achievement. He stated that the successful design and development of long-range guided rockets will boost the capabilities of armed forces, terming it as a game changer. Earlier on Monday, the Defence Acquisition Council, chaired by Defence Minister Rajnath Singh, has approved a range of procurement proposals for the three armed services with the total value pegged at around 79,000 crore rupees. The DAC accorded acceptance of necessity or AON for the procurement of loiter munition system for artillery regiments, low-level lightweight radars, long-range guided rocket ammunition for Pinaka multiple launched rocket system and integrated drone detection and interdiction system Mark II for the Indian Army. For the Indian Navy, AON was accorded for procurement of bollard pull tugs, high-frequency software-defined radios manpack, and for leasing high-altitude, long-range, remotely piloted aircraft system. For the Indian Air Force, AON was approved for procurement of automatic take-off landing recording system, Astra Mark II missiles, full mission simulator, and SPICE 1000 long-range guidance kits, and so on. And India's Union Civil Aviation Minister Ram Mohan Naidu Kinjarapu inaugurates Advanced Light Helicopter Next Generation, also known as Dhruv NG. The Advanced Light Helicopter Next Generation Dhruv is the civil variant of the indigenous helicopter, was also showcased by HAL in 2025 Aero India show. This event marks a significant milestone for Hindustan Aeronautics Limited as it expands into the civil aviation sector. The Dhruv NG is a civil variant of ALH Mark III powered by Shakti engines and features a civil certified glass cockpit. It has a maximum cruise speed of 250 km per hour, a large fuel tank, and can be used for various purposes including heli-tourism, VIP travel, offshore operations, medical services and rescue. India made new strides in the world of science and technology in 2025, from advances in space to developing an indigenous semiconductor ecosystem to becoming a hub of global investments in emerging tech like AI. The next report takes a look at India's story in the domain of science and technology.
India is fast emerging as a major science and technology hub. It secured 38th position in the Global Innovation Index among the top innovative economies in 2025. Driven by leadership in space, IT, AI and digital capabilities, massive pool of STEM talent, strong policy support and booming startup culture, the year witnessed many milestones in this domain. The year began with a historic achievement by ISRO. Space Docking Experiment or SpaceX mission's docking operation was successfully completed, marking India's entry into the elite group of nations capable of executing space docking operations, a critical capability for future advancements such as satellite servicing, space station operations and interplanetary exploration. Indian Air Force Group Captain Subhanshu Shukla made history as the pilot for Axiom Mission 4, becoming the first Indian to visit the International Space Station. He conducted pioneering experiments in microgravity on subjects such as muscle regeneration, algae, microbial growth, crop viability and others. It is a vital stepping stone towards India's own human spaceflight ambition, including the Gaganyaan and Bharatiya Antariksha Station. First Made in India 32-bit processor chip was presented to Prime Minister Narendra Modi during Semicon India 2025. It marked a milestone in India's semiconductor journey. India is rapidly building its semiconductor ecosystem via India Semiconductor Mission, focusing on design, fabrication and talent, positioning India as a global hub for electronics manufacturing and design. Bengaluru-based QPi AI announced the launch of one of India's most powerful quantum computers, featuring 25 superconducting qubits. It integrates advanced quantum processors, next-generation quantum HPC software platforms, and AI-enhanced quantum solutions. With these milestones, QPi AI is driving deep science and deep tech innovation across life sciences, drug discovery, material sciences, mobility, logistics, sustainability, and climate action. Council of Scientific and Industrial Research developed indigenous technology to produce paracetamol, a widely used pain reliever and fever reducer. This innovation aims to make India self-reliant in paracetamol manufacturing, reducing dependence on imported ingredients, aligning with Prime Minister Modi's Atmanirbhar Bharat vision. India has developed its own comprehensive genomic dataset through the Genome India project, sequencing 10,000 whole genomes from diverse populations to create a unique resource for personalized medicine, disease research, and developing India-specific genomic tools. India's strides in AI and emerging tech is making it a hub of global interest and investments. Microsoft announced investment of $17.5 billion in India's cloud and AI infrastructure over about 4 years, describing it as its largest single investment in Asia. Amazon announced new investment of over $35 billion in India by 2030, focusing on AI, boosting exports, expanding logistics, and creating jobs to align with India's digital growth vision. Google will invest $15 billion to build an AI data hub in India. The year 2025 marked many milestones for India in the domain of science and tech. It will be interesting to see how the momentum is taken forward in the new year 2026. Shubhendu Ghosh for DD India.
All right, weather updates now. Cold and foggy conditions continue across North India with dense fog reducing visibility in several regions. As per the IMD, fog map, orange alert for dense fog has been indicated over parts of Punjab, Haryana, Delhi and Uttar Pradesh. Visibility levels drop significantly in several locations, affecting early morning road and air operations. The IMD map shows yellow alert for moderate fog across Bihar, Jharkhand, West Bengal, Odisha and parts of northeastern states. Reduced visibility was reported during morning hours, impacting routine movement. Dense fog conditions disrupted operations at Indira Gandhi International Airport, leading to delays of some flights due to reduced visibility. A thick layer of dense fog engulfed Gurugram, particularly along Badshahpur-Sona road. Also, parts of Madhya Pradesh, including Gwalior, witnessed dense fog conditions on early Tuesday morning. Chandigarh also woke up to a thick blanket of fog with low visibility prevailing during the morning hours. Despite the reduced visibility and cold conditions, morning walkers were seen at Sukhna Lake, continuing their daily routine. Dehradun witnessed dense fog conditions with visibility remaining low across the city during the early morning hours. Foggy weather affected normal movement as visuals showed poor visibility in several parts of the city. Dense fog also blanketed Haridwar, reducing visibility in the holy city during morning hours. The IMD has advised caution during early morning hours as fog conditions continue to prevail across several states, with visibility remaining low in orange and yellow alert zones. The Met Department has predicted a fresh spell of rain and snowfall across Kashmir this week, with temperatures already dipping. Residents are advised to stay prepared as the region braces for more chilly weather ahead. All right, we'll go across to Srinagar in Kashmir. DD India Shabir Dar joins us to give us the latest from there. Shabir, good morning. Cold and foggy conditions continue across North India, and Srinagar has also recorded sub-zero temperatures. Again, tell us what areas are witnessing the harshest conditions.
Yeah, as you speak, there is snowfall happening in the mountainous areas of Kashmir, particularly the Gurez, the Sonmarg, and some tourist places. And in Srinagar, it is foggy here with the biting chill. As we already know, that Met Department has expected that Kashmir is bracing for a fresh spell of rains and snowfall on the New Year's Eve. So beginning from tomorrow, the Srinagar and the plains in Kashmir are expected to receive fresh bout of snowfall, and already in the tourist destinations like Gulmarg, Sonmarg, and other places, there is already the white carpet, which has become a major attraction for the tourists, who have arrived here in large numbers. Remember, Kashmir's winter is, directly linked, but particularly the snow is directly linked with the tourism activity. And as we have seen, the snowfall in past week, there is a heightened activity of tourism in Kashmir this time, because Kashmir has seen a rough patch vis-a-vis tourism sector from April, but the winter tourism has picked up owing to the fact that we had some snowfall last week. And as Met Department is predicting fresh spell of snow this time around, the tourism stakeholders in Kashmir are upbeat. They are happy that they would be able to make the losses they have suffered since April on account of cancellation of tourism activity. So definitely the winter chill is there. People are bracing it. They are facing some problems as the normal life definitely gets disrupted owing to the fact that there is a sub-zero temperature in Kashmir. And but as it is going to snow here, the tourism activity is going to pick up. That is a welcome sign with the winter in Kashmir.
Right, Shabir, like you said, tourism has picked up during winters, and there's a prediction of snowfall also tomorrow and day after. But what challenges, Shabir, are residents facing due to freezing temperatures, especially in rural and high altitude areas?
Yeah, definitely the challenge is to supply the electricity and water to the peripheral, particularly in the rural areas. But the administration is gearing up its machinery to ensure that the public life is not disrupted the way that people, have to suffer. There is definitely disruption is happening, as you can't move to the upper reaches owing to the slippery road conditions due to snowfall, and there is disruption in the electricity and water supply. But the authorities are on it. They are trying to keep the supplies running so that people are not facing issues this time around. And they have also issued advisories to the people, asking them not to go to the upper areas, to the areas where there will be slippery conditions, which will result in some accidents or something. So advisories have been issued by the authorities, and men and machinery have been pressed into service to ensure that the normal services are restored as early as possible after the snowfall.
All right, Shabir, we'll leave it at that. Thank you for your inputs. And to boost winter tourism and add vibrancy to the festive season, the Kashmir Tourism Department has organized a winter festival at Srinagar's iconic Dal Lake. The Tourism Department of Kashmir organized a winter festival at Nehru Park near Dal Lake in Srinagar. The event was inaugurated by local representatives along with tourism officials as part of efforts to boost tourism in the valley. Speaker said the initiative aims to attract more tourists, promote winter destinations and ensure visitors enjoy their stay. Representatives of the houseboat sector welcomed the move, calling it a positive step to revive tourism and draw larger crowds to Kashmir during the winter season. All right, still to come on this edition of DD India Newshour. Record gold prices spark gold rush in Australia. India eyes series sweep over Sri Lanka in Women's T20 International. And Times Square prepares for New Year's Eve celebration.
Geopolitics and trade deals. Economic challenges amid development. Hard work and the path to prosperity. It's the economy always. Between walkers, money is what money does and says. Supply creates its own demand. Between the bulls pulls and bears tears. When supply chains globalization and India rises to the podium. We'll get you centered with the economic brief at 8 p.m. every Thursday on DD India.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India Newshour. I'm Abhishek Mahajan. Business updates now. The US dollar was steady on Tuesday ahead of the Federal Reserve's release of a December minutes report, which is expected to reveal divisions inside the central bank about next year's policy pathway. Currency markets were mostly tranquil due to holiday thinned liquidity as traders looked ahead after a dismal year for the US dollar helped push the euro and sterling to their strongest showings since 2017. Traders are pricing in 2 more cuts for 2026, suggesting the dollar has room to decline further. And Australia's historic goldfields are seeing a modern day rush, not from big miners but everyday hobbyists chasing nuggets in Victoria's Golden Triangle, driven by record prices and social media.
The rise in gold prices has fueled a rush to find the yellow metal in the woods. In Australia, the beep of a metal detector is actually a sweet sound now, drawing people into the bush with the hope that the shrieking sound may announce arrival of elusive gold nugget. In the state of Victoria, gold hunter Kelly Smith joined a training session run by the Gold Centre in Maryborough. The beep sound revealed a shotgun pellet, but she intends to carry on finding fun in being outdoors. Hobbyists are flocking to the region, considering one of the world's most prospective for gold nuggets, inspired by record gold prices.
I've been a gold miner and I'm part of Aussie Gold Hunters, and the gold price has been at record highs, and that's created a massive new interest in prospecting that I've seen. There are people everywhere starting to look for gold.
One tour guide claimed to have found nuggets which weighed 80 ounces.
The best one was the 80-ounce nugget, yeah. And I found a 70 and I found a lot of 21s, and yeah, I found a lot of decent nuggets. Not recently, other than this 3.5 ounce 2 months ago.
Demand is also surging for detectors. Many models priced at nearly 3,000 Australian dollars sold out nationwide within weeks of its launch. To forsake legally, Victorians need a miner's right permit, and applications have hit record highs nearing 16,000 by November. Gold prices may impact some adversely, but for those prospectors, the rush begins additional charm of focus, fresh air and community. Bureau Report, DD India.
All right, sports updates now. We'll start with cricket. India will look to continue their domination and complete a 5-0 series whitewash against Sri Lanka in the 5th and final Women's T20 International on Tuesday. India have been clinical all through the series, restricting Sri Lanka to totals under 130 and getting home with at least 5 overs and 7 wickets in hand. Sri Lanka have had tough time going past the duo of Smriti Mandhana and Shefali Verma, who helped set up the host's highest T20I total. The 5-match series has formed a significant part of India's preparation for the T20 World Cup in England in June-July next year. India have opted for a more aggressive style of playing, a shift that has yielded 2 series wins this year. Following Tuesday's game, India will play 3 T20Is each in Australia and England before the showpiece event. From cricket to tennis, some of the world's top tennis stars have arrived in Australia ahead of the first Grand Slam of 2026, the Australian Open. Coco Gauff, a key member of the defending champions United States team, has arrived in Perth ahead of the event. Players will also take part in the United Cup ahead of the Australian Open. Last year's runner-up Alexander Zverev and Polish top seed Iga Swiatek arrived in Sydney to take part in the United Cup ahead of the Grand Slam starting later in January. The United Cup sees 18 nations compete to be crowned champions of the mixed gender team tournament.
Yeah, very excited. Obviously, Australia is always a place that I really love, that I really enjoy, especially Sydney. I have great memories here, and yeah, starting with the team, starting with a lot of great players. I'm looking forward to it.
I don't know, I feel like the air is different here. I'm just really looking forward to spending some time outdoors, because for last month I've been on the indoors. Back home it's like -5 right now or something like that, so I'm really happy to enjoy the sun and the weather.
The winners of the 13th Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum International Sports Awards were announced on Monday during the World Sports Summit in Dubai. The award, regarded as the largest of its kind worldwide in terms of prize value and number of categories, was unveiled at the summit. The World Sports Summit is organized by the Dubai Sports Council under the directives and patronage of Deputy Prime Minister of the United Arab Emirates, Sheikh Hamdan bin Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum. It was held under the theme Uniting the World Through Sport. International sports stars took part in the panel discussions examining pathways for strengthening the global sports ecosystem. Among the prominent winners, Serbian tennis star Novak Djokovic received the Global Lifetime Achievement Award, recognizing his sustained excellence and influence in world sport. Soccer now. Spanish top flight club Barcelona held an open training session which attended by fans to celebrate the end of the year. Stars such as Lamine Yamal, Robert Lewandowski and Rafinha greeted supporters gathered around the Johan Cruyff training pitch. Uruguayan footballer Ronald Araujo also returned to training after taking a break of 1 month. Hansi Flick's squad tops La Liga with 46 points, 4 ahead of rivals Real Madrid on 42. Barcelona closed the calendar year on an impressive 7-match winning streak. And New York City is preparing for its iconic Times Square New Year's Eve celebration. On Monday, organizers tested the confetti that will be released over about 1 million attendees. The beloved annual tradition invites visitors from across the globe to share their hopes for the year ahead. And that's all we have in this edition of DD India News Hour. But do let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on DD India mobile app. The app is available on both Android and iOS platforms. Scan the QR code on the screen to download now. And we'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Abhishek Mahajan. From all of us here in Delhi, thanks for watching DD India News Hour.